shoulder to the ground.
Hold it tight.
We'll barricade it. He can't get in.
Going very old school today, and we're hitting the comedy horror subgenre with Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. If you're unfamiliar with this movie, it's basically Abbott and Costello meeting not only Frankenstein, but Dracula and the Wolfman all in one movie. And if you're unfamiliar with Abbott and Costello, well, they're just the classic skinny guy, fat guy pair. One's the straight man, one's the funny man. Lots of slapstick, lots of wordplay. It's, you know, akin to the Three Stooges or Laurel and Hardy. All these classic monster characters too, they still carry that kind of allure and hype that they brought into their roles. You have like the Wolfman, played by Lon Chaney, who is the actual Wolfman. You have Bela Lugosi reprising his role as Dracula 18 years after the original, so it's almost 2 decades later that he's coming back to play the role for a second and final time. As far as Frankenstein's monster, it's not Boris Karloff, but we do get a really great performance as well. I mean, this movie is just so incredibly nostalgic for me. I remember watching this on Turner Classic Movies as a little kid. The humor, I think, feels just right in line with classic cartoons, you know, Looney Tunes, things like that. So as a child, I mean, I've really loved this movie. And as an adult, I think it's still, like, really funny, surprisingly. Comedy doesn't age very well when it's referential or when it's really specifically of the time. But this Abbott and Costello humor is just so simple and so dumb that I think, like, almost any age, you can't help but chuckle, or at least give out a why I oughta, at least one of those. I honestly think that kids today might really enjoy this movie. I mean, it's from 1949, but still, I think a lot of the humor is just really classic, and I think it's actually a really cool way to maybe introduce classic characters. They go on to do more of these too. There's one with like the Mummy, there's one with the Invisible Man, they do a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and they're all pretty funny. They're all worth checking out, but there's something very epic about this one. This is like the crossover of all crossovers, you know, decades before we would even think about some of these crazy modern ones that we have.
Dracula.
You know, famously, like, Lou Costello didn't even want to do this movie. They actually had to, like, really bribe him with a bunch of money to get him on. I think something like $50,000 as like a pre-signing bonus. And even the movie itself, they said it was one of the lowest budgeted movies of that year, which I think was like $800,000, but it would go on to gross $5 million in the 40s. I think you would have a really hard time not enjoying this movie. And I think there's some really funny aspects to it too. And also some really great effects, both like as set design gags, but also just some kind of early special effects that I think are just interesting to see today. It really nails that classic horror aesthetic. So if you're looking for something, but you don't want to be super bored by Dracula, oh, what a slog, then I would really recommend this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. And then afterwards, you can watch Hugh Jackman and Van Helsing and just try and connect the two in your head canon. I think it'll be a fun exercise. No, you don't have to do that, but you should check out Abbott and Costello Meets Frankenstein, especially if this is just something that you wouldn't have even thought of looking at. I think you'll find yourself enjoying it, and at the very least get a couple good chuckles in there.